Hey, what's up? Well, we're finally in October. I still need a shave. I can't wait till No Shave November. Um, this is one of my favorite calendar flips. And of course, I just like them progressively more throughout the burr months. My favorite, of course, is from November to December, that last one, followed by the ones leading up to it. So, anyway, I just love, to see the temperature drop cooler. And, just really makes me happy to have cooler weather. And what I want to do two things in this video. I'm wearing my eyeball necklace, but not my ring. I want to unbox this package from Temu. They always hook me with these deals. At a moment of weakness when I'm thinking about a product. So what I want to talk about in this video, I feel like my longest videos are always the ones where I look back and say that wasn't long enough. I didn't touch on something I meant to say. So before I get into that, I want to do my unboxing, while I still have time. Let's see. How are we going to cut into this? I'm going to cut into this package. Very careful, very careful. And because I basically have 5 items only, it should be really short-lived. I want to start out with the least significant items, which are my little Christmas babies, little elves. Why they had to put the barcode over his face, I don't know, but they gotta be stupid. It's a cute little Santa baby. And, let's see, I'd much rather see it on this side so that you can see the cute little face instead of the barcode. But there's another little elf in a green outfit. So, the next two things that I'm unboxing, but not all the way, are some shorts for me to do yard work. And I'm going to get me some camouflage shirts to go with them. I've got an army green pair and a khaki pair. I figure I may as well get them while they're on clearance with the summertime ending. Okay, so those are my yard work clothes so that I can, go outside and get dirty, and it won't be such a serious problem as it is in white clothes. Get some camouflage going on here. Last but not least, my favorite little package. The main reason I placed this order is something that I hope will be a demonstration. I hope they didn't do something to where I have to put frickin' batteries in it. But it's looking like they did. So perhaps I'll just go do that. What's up? Well, I'm back again, and the stupid piece of trash thermometer that I bought. Very disappointed, but we'll see. We'll see if I can figure it out, okay? So, basically, you turn it on, hit set up, and it says 36.2 Celsius is what my body temperature is. And that translates to somewhere in the low 97 Fahrenheit, like 97.2 or something like that. I had to get the calculator, okay? And that's probably the most disappointing thing about this stupid thermometer is it's looking like I will need a calculator because guess what? American kids don't learn metrics from day one, okay? We don't actually convert into metrics until junior high, and then we still use predominantly Fahrenheit or English. Whereas in England or the UK, they're actually using metric. So go figure. But if it is reliable, that's pretty accurate. I mean, it's not, that the thing isn't accurate. It's just that I will have to convert it to what I'm familiar with, which is Fahrenheit. Okay? So right now I'm pretty good. I'm in the 97 degrees range of body temperature, and so I guess I'm doing just fine. But 37 Celsius is about normal. So the reason I bought this thing is because, the other day when I was feeling bad, wouldn't you know, my Elsa thermometer decided to die on me, the battery. And so I had to get my dad's old thermometer, and which is older than Elsa. And wouldn't you know, it still works. And the weirdest thing happened was, so what I did was I decided to take my temperature, and it was pretty normal, even though I felt kind of bad. And so what I did was I decided, well, let's try something different. Because this ear was clearly hurting me, like I was feeling pressure, and my throat was hurting on one side of my face, on like, just one tonsil was swollen, and my throat was red, and I clearly felt bad. But of course my body temperature was still in the 97 range, like always, like it was with COVID and everything like that. And so what happened was I decided to take my temperature in my ears. And I found a very interesting thing. Took my temperature in the unaffected ear, the one that wasn't really bothering me. It was in the 97 range, 97.5, and it would fluctuate. Then I took my temperature in the ear that was bothering me, and where my throat was hurting more than the other side. And it was like 98.2 up to 98.4, would fluctuate with each reading. And so I had a higher temperature in the affected ear than in the unaffected ear. So that's kind of interesting. And it's like I would sneeze, and I could have sworn that my nose was getting stuffy, but only on this side. So it was kind of like having a lopsided infection of sorts. And that isn't the first time that has ever happened. Okay, so that's what I want to talk about in this video. I want to title it like, Allergies Are Not Contagious. Okay, and I guess I'm just very redundant. I just get on a roll, something triggers my thoughts about a subject matter, and I just can't let it go. That's why I like Frozen so much, because it's like reminding me to let it go, but I can't seem to do that. So I just want to talk about how, like, allergies are not contagious. That is the main difference. Okay, I mean, yes, there are the symptoms, and that's why it is such an insult to my intelligence. When people try to gaslight me. Really, I can't stand people gaslighting me about anything, however insignificant. I don't want people freaking trying to tell me that I'm wrong when I know that I'm right. Okay, so you can call me a right fighter or whatever, but it's just the way that it is. Things should be right. And so, allergies are not contagious. Okay, I mean, yes, there's the symptoms checklist, but honestly, the main difference between colds and allergies is that allergies are not contagious. Okay, that is the key thing. Okay, that is the main difference. And that is why it is so infuriating when people try to tell you that it's allergies, because they're trying to tell you that it's harmless when it probably isn't. You know what I'm saying? It's like they don't care if you get sick as a result of their lies, just so that they get to not appear weak. When in the reality is that I would say that if a person truly had allergies that were so bad that you would think it was a cold, I would say that person is a lot weaker than someone who is simply responding to a virus they've never had. You know what I'm saying? Um, if your allergies are worse than some people's colds, then you're a weak person. I'm sorry, but you just are. That is a bigger sign of weakness. Um, but so anyway, I just wanted to talk about that. How allergies are not contagious. And I hate people who try, or I've always hated people who try to blur that distinction, between colds and allergies. Because I think it's a lot less important to differentiate between colds and flu, which, the way I feel about it is the flu is a cold, not vice versa. The flu is a type of cold, but a cold is not a type of flu, kind of like squares and rectangles. Um, you know, I've never been diagnosed with the flu, and I also don't refer to it as the flu. Calling it the flu, I don't see the flu as being less of a cold. You know, it's kind of like saying like a shark is less of a fish because he's bigger and more dangerous. No. A tiger isn't less of a cat either. He's just like the king of cats. Um, so, it's like the way I feel, it's just so infuriating when people try to tell me like, oh, well, it was just allergies or sinus problems. Well, no, it wasn't. It's a big insult to my intelligence because I happen to know that allergies are not contagious. See, that's the key difference. Regardless of your symptoms, fever, no fever, what color snot, what kind of cough, regardless of the symptoms, the main difference, the main way that you know that it's a cold is because it is contagious. That's what I'm saying. And that's how, I know beyond a shadow of a doubt when I had colds, how long they lasted. I pretty much know like it would have to be a really mild cold. It would have to be extremely mild to the point of subclinical for me to forget altogether that I had it. You know what I'm saying? Like that is how deep the obsession really is. The point where I pretty much can't forget. And the fewer you have in a year's time, the harder it is to forget exactly when you had them, is what I've found to be the case. And that's why it is so imperative to me that I don't have children or work with children and get a really high number of colds, because I have found that what makes a cold more memorable or easier to memorize the date is when it is one of few or only one. You know what I'm saying? When you only have one or two colds, which in my case, it's been one pretty much every year since I've been 24. I haven't had a year with two, I don't think. It's easier to memorize the date when it's the only cold you have that year than if it would be like 1 out of 9 or something like that, like in 8th grade. Like I remember a lot more about, that 4th cold at the end of 7th grade in May, than I do about any one of the 9 that I had in 8th grade. And so, yeah, it's very important to me. But it's just so infuriating when people try to tell me that I didn't, well, it's only my mom that does this. I didn't really have a cold. It could have been allergies or sinus. Well, no, it couldn't, because allergies are not contagious. That is a key difference. And almost like pretty much every single time I've ever had a cold in my remembered life, since I've been old enough to remember things, I was always able to trace it to the person that gave it to me. You know what I'm saying? I knew it was a cold because of who gave it to me. I know who gave it to me. And, it's like I either caught it from someone and or I gave it to other people. You know what I'm saying? Like in May of 97, it wasn't just me. It was my whole family. My little sister, both my parents, maybe even my grandma, and a lot of the kids that were sitting close to me in my classes. So I know that it was a cold because I know that it was contagious, okay? So it doesn't really even matter what the symptoms were, because they do vary no two colds are identical. No two viruses are identical. So the symptoms vary, from one virus to another, and also by, the state of your immune system at the time. But what's most important, as I've just said, is that colds are contagious. Allergies aren't. And really and truly, I mean, in my case, I mean, my allergies are nowhere near bad enough that I would actually think that they're a cold for any reason. Okay, the allergies that I have are really not even allergies. They're just normal morning sneezes that probably everybody has. Um, so, and the other thing I didn't touch on in my other video is how one of the many things that I hate about Rugrats, it has taken me kind of stepping back from the Rugrats thing to realize just how much I really hated this show, or really should hate the show. And the only reason I was really watching it was to have something in common with my 5-year-old sister at age 14, and to get my mind off of the depression that I was in. But really, I hate that show, in addition to pretty much all shows on Nickelodeon at the time, and probably to this day. I hate the way the writers of the show, as well as other classic Shupo cartoons, like As Told by Ginger, The Thornberries, Rocket Power, and even the non-Casey cartoons like Hey Arnold and Jimmy Neutron. I hate the way they would always blur the distinction between colds and allergies. They blurred the distinction between a lot of things like male and female, child versus adult, and colds versus allergies. I really hate that. About all shows on Nickelodeon was how you would have at least one character, and I never realized just how much I hated Chucky, until I just got out of that obsession. But he's probably, when I think about it, one of my least favorite characters of the kids, because Susie can't help it that she's black, so I don't hate her, and Kimmy. But I hate Chucky because, well, obviously this idea that a boy can or should be potty trained at age 2 is just ridiculous. But he just doesn't make sense. He doesn't make sense as a character. I don't like his glasses. I don't like his hair. I don't like his name. I just don't like him in general. I don't like the way his shoes are untied. I just don't like him as a character. He's probably one of my least favorite things about the show. Yeah, and one of the things I hate, from the very first time I watched it, I hate the way he talks like he has a cold 365 days a year, just like Macy on As Told by Ginger. And, well, Sam Dollard on Rocket Power is said to have allergies, but he doesn't talk like that. And I think there's a character named Brainy on Hey Arnold or something. And then on Jimmy Neutron, there's, of course, Carl Weezer. But I just really hate the way, I've always hated this about Nickelodeon. How you would have like one character who was either said to be unhealthy in some way, or, to have allergies and health problems, and or talked like they had a cold at all times. And I hate that because it's like, I feel, I don't know how to describe this, but I feel like it, I mean, I know they use things like that to create a character difference, you know what I'm saying? Like to distinguish that character from the others in some way, like the glasses on Chucky and, those iconic differences that separate the characters. But I really hate it, always did since 97, because I feel like it takes away an opportunity that they could have had. I mean, they could have used that type of speech, the nasally speech, to say that the characters had a cold. You know what I'm saying? I think the shows would have been a lot better if no character talked like that in most episodes, but yet there would be like one or a few episodes where they all talk like that. You know what I'm saying? Like if Chucky, kind of like an all grown up, would talk in a more normal way most of the time, but then they'd have one episode where every single character sounded like that, especially and including Angelica. You know, All's Well That Pretends Well is my favorite episode for that reason. And, you know, like if every show could be like that, instead of having, you know, one Chucky that has all the allergies and health problems, then everybody else is in perfect health all the time. And, you know, I just hate that so much because when I sounded like Chucky or Macy on As Told by Ginger growing up, that was when I had a cold, okay? And even as an adult, you know, that is how I know something is up with me, is when I sound different. And that's what I mean. You know, when I say like I had 9 colds in the 8th grade, well, I don't mean I had 9 horrible illnesses where thought I was gonna die and went to the doctor and got on antibiotics. Well, no, of course not. I haven't been put on antibiotics to get over one since I was 9, as I've stated before, and I hope that doesn't change. But no, when I say that I had a cold at some point in my life, I mean that, you know, my voice was nasally and possibly hoarse, and I was just under the weather for about a week. And nobody can gaslight me out of the knowledge of the dates when these things happened, because I happen to know that allergies are not contagious, and I don't really have them.